I haven't. You'd be the first guest that's not capable to wear headphones. Just slide right off of you.
I just can't.
You can't lay back.
Can't lay back.
You have to stay with nice posture. I'll lay here like a piece of shit.
It's honestly fine. I need to.
I'll get you to pull that mic a little closer.
Okay?
You look great.
It's not.
Pull that guy up a little bit, bud.
Okay.
There we go. So, what's the chance of you going to the Olympics next year? Is pretty fucking high.
Yeah, I guess.
Like realistically.
Yeah.
And that's partly because you've got dual citizenship, and so you'll compete for Greece.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of those things that, like, I've never thought about because... But did you have dual citizenship, or did Greece find you when they realized you were good enough to possibly compete for them?
Yeah, they found us. That's a pretty common question most people don't know. And it's honestly something I didn't even think about before, Greek coaches approached us. Because when I was about, I think, 18, my brother actually received, who's also a thrower, he received a Facebook message from a Greek coach asking if we would want, basically just saying, they had tracked us because we have very Greek names and, they keep account of Greek Americans.
Sure.
And just basically asking if we would want to compete for Greece. But yeah, that was something I had no idea about.
He's such a loud boy. Gosh. You're not helpful.
But yeah, I didn't know, because just that summer or two before that, I had actually made a junior Pan American team.
Okay.
And my brother had also been on a junior team when he was that young. So, that was kind of a big decision for me because he was definitely closer. I mean, that was right before the Rio Olympics, and so he was really close to.
So you got to kind of watch it play out for him first.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that first year, basically right when we did it, it all happened so quickly. In 2015, I mean, we had to finalize our dual citizenship in Greece. And then 2 days later, we were on a plane to a European Cup, with the full team. And I was freaking out. I was so scared because, what are these people going to think of me?
Of course,
what is
right.
other people going to think of me?
This fucking American coming in.
Right, exactly. But now it's been, 6 years or so?
Okay.
And there's something really cool about teams that just remain the same. I mean, Greece is so much smaller of a country, and so I'm seeing the same athletes for, every year. And a U.S. team, it's different teams, you have to make the team every time.
Yeah.
But Greece is so, so much smaller. It's those few same people every year, and you just end up creating great, relationships. You get to travel the world with the same people. So. Well,
it's such a unique thing to share with someone else that you kind of almost have to bond.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think throwers in general have that kind of feeling with each other of like, we know.
Yeah.
And I mean, hell, Spencer and I, have been friends now for fucking a decade. And yeah, like it's different with track and field. I don't know why, but maybe it's part of, like I said yesterday, talking about that, like that we know we're from a sport that'll never have the attention that any of the big ones do.
Yeah.
And so, like, the people that are committed to it, especially at that Olympic level, like, you all know that you share this same focus for a thing that really doesn't have a payoff, like, in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
That this is for fucking you, for sport, to see what it's about. Like, the Olympics are different.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's the goal of what I'll experience. But, I mean, that was a big driving push for everything. And I got like a small taste of that at, World Championships, where that's just like seeing it in person is just unreal. Like I got to compete within the first day or two, and then I had like a week straight of just professional like track to watch. I just got to watch up close, like pole vault, put the shot competition, with, Joe winning and just,
So this is like Doha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just crazy performances. It's just another realm to watch it in person.
How was traveling to Doha?
It was definitely pretty interesting. I mainly had just been throughout Europe. And I mean, it was, we arrived at like 10 at night, And it was just like, it was nothing you could have like anticipated walking out and just like feeling like you were in a sauna.
Really, just fucking crazy hot.
Crazy hot humidity.
No shit.
You just walk out and it's just like moisture in the air.
I guess I wouldn't have considered it to be humid, but I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense. They're on water and.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, it was just ridiculously hot. We went to go train at like 8 p.m., you know, with it just completely
Yeah,
dark.
you can't go during
it's
the day.
just too hot during the day. And it's crazy to like, you look out from your hotel room. There's no movement outside. No one's walking outside. No one's doing anything. It was, and,
Well, hot places treat summer the way fucking really cold places treat winter. Like,
Yeah.
like, we're just not going outside. Fuck this place.
I mean, they had an entire mall of just like, it's kind of like if you've been to Las Vegas, like the Venetian.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got gondolas and like, you know, the whole painted ceiling is like the outdoor sky, and they had like roller coasters in there, and
Because they have to. They have to
Yeah.
air condition this
Oh, yeah.
giant
Yeah.
world.
and luckily that was like 2 blocks away from the championship stadium. But that was a crazy experience, because you're also just in like getting to just hang out with a bunch of elite athletes from all around the world.
Right.
And I don't know, this past year, my first year out of college was definitely like a really cool experience onto like figuring out that kind of post-collegiate professional life, which is what you talked about with all of like your Highland Games travel and just like
It's fun,
same crew
man.
of people
Yeah.
going around Europe and just like
Yeah,
throwing
it's
in
so
some
nice
meets.
because like the NCAA bullshit of like having
Yeah.
class or studying or a coach or you know this
The
a
pressures.
bit that you're maybe not fully at the wheel. Like you're still part of a thing and still even through the NCAA because you've come up in that system from middle school, high school and into college. You still feel like a kid.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it goes to like a post-collegiate thing and now you're booking flights and you're
Yeah.
doing your thing and you're on your own to meet new people and establish relationships,
Yeah.
like it's a different ball game.
Oh yeah. I just like also there's such a different pressure and expectation when you're competing in Europe versus like competing in the NCAA.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but also the quality, it's still really
But there's
great.
also money.
Yeah, but like, you know, the whole, you were in the SEC and there's this huge pressure of like, you know, we got to be the best team. We got to be.
You're so much this morning, dude. What's your plan? Of all the places in the house to hang out, you want to be busy down here?
He knows where it's at.
Oh no. What a disaster. What a disaster he is. But yeah, the NCAA is just, it's such a different thing because at least, I remember for us, man, that like, so I went in as a walk-on.
Yeah.
And then got a scholarship due to performing well. But man, once you get that scholarship, like it's not yours. Like
No,
that money
yeah.
is allocated right now for you because you're performing, and they
Yeah.
will happily fucking move it to someone else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that was like the biggest shift, was feeling that like, it's his show.
I know.
Might come up.
Old Ollie Rotten Paws. You're very distracting, young man. With your big old belly.
You're so
You're a
pretty.
big cat.
You saw the cameras.
I know. What a ham. But yeah, with that like scholarship being on the line, it's a different fucking feeling. Like the NCAA is a real competitive thing.
Oh, it's like pretty cutthroat. But then you also go, I mean, you were in the SEC, and I was able to experience at least Pac-12 and SEC, and I mean, SEC is definitely a lot more cutthroat. And
So where did you spend your collegiate time?
so initially, right out of high school, I went to UCLA, and I spent my redshirt year and my redshirt freshman year there. So
Who's
2 years.
coaching there at that time?
There were 2 coaches, 2 throws coaches. You had Coach Maynard, Mike Maynard, and John Frazier.
Okay, John. So John was at Stanford whenever I was.
Stanford?
Is that right? John Frazier, big
Arizona?
giant black guy.
Yeah, you mean Arizona?
So he talk with like a big, like
No, you're thinking of Robert Weir, I think.
thinking of Robert. Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a
Yeah.
very very unique
Yeah.
voice and
I
cadence,
think
and
he was at Stanford.
he was at Stanford. That's who. Yeah. Okay.
Frazier
so now
was
I know
at
who I'm talking
Arizona and then Tennessee, which was actually like funny enough is because I ended up transferring and I ended up at Tennessee.
about. Right.
But yeah, that's where I started my career. Maynard was my hammer coach, and then Frazier I did like shot put and discus with, and then I ended up transferring, and like the ball game was so different.
Right.
So different. I mean, just like all across the board, college expectations, like level of performance, assistance, completely different.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't have gone back and changed it.
No. Well, I mean, also that's good because you can't.
No, but like when people ask that question, like, oh, you wish you went to Tennessee right away. I don't think.
Right. I mean, that's such a weird thing, right? Like that idea of going back and changing things because then you don't know that you end up where you are.
Oh, I don't think I would have been able to handle moving to Tennessee right out of high school.
Right on.
Yeah.
Because you grew up out west.
Yeah, in California.
Okay, so I think that's confusing for people. Like, so are your parents first generation?
No, so actually I'm third generation. I just try and describe it best, like if you watched like My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
I have.
So it's
been
kind
a
of
minute.
like, yeah, but it's like kind of like that roughly I mean, it's not, there are some exaggerations, but I roughly would say that's kind of like how it is. You know, all my family is Greek. Both my parents come from Greek families. You know, their parents married each other. So like the bloodline is all Greek, but no, I'm actually third generation.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, grew up in California. And then when I was 17 or so is when the whole dual citizenship, Greek coaches kind of recruiting us came into play.
How Greek would you need to be eligible?
Well, it made it a lot easier that we were like fully Greek.
Yeah, 100%, right? But like say if
You basically have to just like prove how Greek you are.
right.
So just
It's a really racist test to like
but like pretty much we just have to track down all your paperwork, and so we were like had both sides, you know, we had all their paperwork all coming from Greece, and we had property and family still that you can
So that
show.
helps.
Yeah.
That you need to be able to go back at least someone who is a Greek citizen.
Yeah, but I mean there are definitely examples of other cases where you're like
It's a bit
bit
loose.
ish, yeah.
Man, the IOC and shit like that with the rules that get put in place, like I love just the bit like, wow, this is acceptable.
Yeah. And that's like the biggest like thing that I think I was like self-conscious about was like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm just like
Sneaking in
and like taking advantage of this, because like
but also fuck yeah.
well, like, yeah, now that I've come to realize it too, a lot of people are in a way kind of almost looking to do that now, especially in track and in throwing too, because it's just so competitive. People are trying to find, you know, ways to be able to compete for their nationality. Like I have a couple friends who asked me, because she was trying to compete for Nigeria.
Sure.
She asked me like, should I do this? And I was like, honestly,
Why not, dude?
you should. When
At
it
the end of
comes
the day,
down
you
to
still
it,
got to go to the fucking Olympics and compete,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yeah.
that, I'm good with that selfish
Yeah.
decision and like fuck someone else's thoughts about it.
yeah. And I mean, I did grow up very like Greek American, and honestly, this has just been a way for me to experience that in such a like better way than I never would have gotten.
And also, like, because your family does still have the culture in the way you guys grew up and doing the family interaction, but you're getting a very Greek American culture, right? Because you're living here, and that's just how it works a couple generations down the road.
Right.
You being able to go and actually compete for Greece and be part of that team, like, what a way different experience to
connect with that.
to connect to your
heritage,
country, or connect to your parents' country or any of this, and have this different feeling of like culture and in perspective.
Oh yeah.
You know, because man, I think one of the fuck ups Americans have is that they don't go to other places.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked about this earlier in the week, but yeah, that's like my biggest thing. It's just like you need to be able to go out. I mean, people don't even try and leave the state that they live in.
I think a lot of Americans think the rest of the world is very like second world or third world country in comparison. Like they just don't have what we have.
Yeah.
And
while
it's true.
Yeah.
It's different because we've put such a emphasis on convenience.
Yeah.
And efficiency that for me, especially like Scotland or being in France or Iceland, the big things I notice are like there's not fast food.
Oh yeah.
Like there's just not a McDonald's everywhere, and there's also not chain hotels at every exit.
Yeah.
There's not There's not that pod of a fucking
No, you get the
Outback, a
real deal.
Chili's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a hotel. No, it's like a bed and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've stayed in a
And then
bunch
you go
of bed and
coffee
breakfast.
shop down the
Yeah.
street, and then there's a great restaurant that all the locals eat at.
Yeah, it sits 8 people.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
there's no place that works like a fucking Outback
No.
that can sit 200 people.
No, there's no quick meal either.
No.
But I mean, there is such convenience here, but like that's also really what's also nice about Europe, in my opinion, is I like to go to the one place that has produce, and then the one
Yeah.
place that has the pastries, and then you go to the other place to pick up your coffee. And I mean, yeah, it takes a lot longer, but it's like it's being able to enjoy just the processes of everything, and that's what we had talked about.
Yeah,
a
there's
little
definitely
earlier.
there's definitely something about the slower pace of Europe I like.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if you had drinking your coffee to go, it's just not really
No, like fuck you
a
talking
thing.
about?
Yeah. That's where you're sitting down, and I've literally seen, that was like that's what I remember most about like going to Greece for the first time, is like watching these guys sit out like in front of the hotel whenever we were traveling and be drinking coffees for 2 hours, the same
That's
fucking
tiny
coffee.
espresso.
Just smoking their cigarettes, talking, all the coaches like just
Sure.
smoking with the athletes too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
athletes are out there, everyone's just drinking their coffee for 2 hours, talking, smoking, just like that's it. Like that's all we're focused on right now. Just like
Right.
good conversation, hanging out.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the athletic part later.
Well, they're gonna happen anyway.
Yeah.
We don't have to focus too much on it.
Yeah.
Like, it'll come.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
And that was like the biggest realization. I used to get a lot of like competition anxiety. I mean, still do to
Sure.
a degree, but my first meet over there, I like didn't make a final in something, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm embarrassed, because this was my first, like, it was like an under 23 team, and I was like 18 or something like that. But I was freaking out, and the coach was just like, why are you crying? It's okay. Like, you're young. You have so many
Right.
years. But that's also because
It's
in
one day.
Europe, yeah, they see their athletes' career from when they're young, and they're able to see them through until they're
Dude,
like
we
28.
only give a shit while you're at the top.
Yeah. Because if I wasn't performing and on, then it's like, well, who's next? Who's right up behind you?
Of course.
Yeah. So they're really different. Like, they're really cool ways to kind of look at what the U.S. does really well.
Well,
and
our depth of talent here is so deep, just because of the population. Because
Yeah.
we have 300 and something 80 million people in the country. It just like that like looking at Iceland, just because that's somewhere I'm more familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're taking a population of almost 400 million
yeah.
and comparing it to, say, a country, Iceland, that has 350,000 people.
Yeah.
It's a city,
Yeah.
right? Like, not even a big one.
Yeah.
And the depth pool just isn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
If 1% of your population make great athletes, we have a very different number of 1%.
Yeah.
And
That's kind of
which is crazy about fucking Iceland, because
Mm-hmm.
why they have had the powerlifters and
Yeah.
world's strongest man competitors they've had out of such
Just
a small
dominate,
pool,
yeah.
right? Like, so there's definitely something to be said genetically there
Yeah.
that they're predisposed.
Yeah. But then also that they just are able to invest so much more in their athlete from, a young age and see it through. And that's also what's cool about, I mean, I don't know how it works with like lifting or whatever, but like a lot of track clubs is how they do it in Europe. And I'm a part of a club where they're also coaching little kids at the same time. So you have kids in
There's
the same
always
clubs
this development thing,
throughout
right?
this whole thing. And kids are with their coaches for 12 years or so.
Yeah, our development system's weird because I think because of like the high school and then university system, which that doesn't exist anywhere else.
No.
The whole university
Yeah.
paid athlete to go represent LSU.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't work in other countries. There's
Yeah.
no like, well, I threw for whatever university.
Picking and choosing if I want an
Yeah.
education or if I want to
Do sport.
try and continue this sport and
Right.
work and yeah.
Yeah, the NCAA system's very strange. And
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the like paying athletes.
Yeah, that's a big
It's a big one because it's a business, and I'm aware that it's a business and it's making money, and you're making money off of this product, which is athletes.
right.
They should be paid the same way the NFL gets paid, but you agreed to go in exchange for an education.
Yeah. I think there's a very big difference when you're talking about all NCAA athletes and then you're talking about football players and basketball players.
Right. The big
Because-
three shouldn't count. They should have to operate a different rule set.
I mean, yeah, because I'm the one benefiting right now as
Yes.
a thrower, as a female thrower at Tennessee. I mean, I was making money.
Right.
You know, if luckily I was on a full scholarship, and you're actually just getting money that I can save.
Right.
You know, because if you do it
Yeah, because
right,
they
you
pay
know,
housing and all this, and so you can get affordable housing so
get
that you're
affordable
not living
housing.
at the max end of what your stipend is.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, you're able to come away from that not only with no education fees or anything like that, but also kind of, if you do it right, you know, saving some money. Now, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say that I know the perfect way to prescribe paying athletes. But I can't imagine that
It's very complicated.
too many, you know, smaller sports are being, like, money is being made off of
No,
them.
there isn't. The only sports that in most schools, football's the only one that makes money. Even if your baseball team is winning national championships, it's basically like almost a break even.
Yeah.
And because nothing else puts 110,000 people in the stands on a weekend, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Then also, I think there's a gray area because now with social media, I'm sure some of these athletes could probably be making money through Instagram, through YouTube,
I'm
and
sure
stuff
of
like
it.
that.
I'm sure
and now,
of it, right?
on that side, I think there could be something done to where,
Like
if
you're
you're doing
smart,
this,
if you're smart as an athlete, and like say, I mean, of course, if you're someone who's up for a Heisman,
yeah,
you better have your social media shit together because you need it in a year.
yeah, yeah. And so I don't know how to factor that in. I mean, yeah, that's why I'm not in charge of that. But I mean, as far as the whole collegiate payment system, I mean, I think a lot of athletes get wound up in the fluff of stuff and forget to take a step back and be like, pretty lucky here too.
100%, 100% right. My only bitch about it is the fact that there is a lot of money coming in.
True.
And let's not pretend this isn't profit. Like,
True.
Yo, you're selling jerseys with that kid's name on it.
And that's, I mean, I think, when you're talking about the specifics as far as that, yes. But when I hear a lot of, you know, like if it's like a swimmer saying like,
sure.
athlete
Look,
rights.
your sport doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
If we're going to do it, that's kind of how it's got to be based. We have to treat it the same way Major League Sports are. Like, unless your sport makes money, you don't get any fucking money.
I would rather that payment be going towards athletes, like medical bills further down.
Yep.
Because honestly, that's something I went through recently, or I'm going through kind of right now. And that's something that I think is way more important than getting an extra check here and there.
Sure. So this is injury post-collegiate that happened from your time in the NCAA system. So how long's the window that...
2 years.
So you get 2 years after you graduate that if something pops up that they can prove is from? Or do they just...
So basically, and now that I know this, I would encourage every college athlete to make sure if there's anything nagging you at all, go see someone about it and make sure it's on record. Like, make sure it's on record. Take your exit interview seriously, because that's also a thing. Once you're a senior, you go through like an exit interview and kind of check off.
I don't remember any of this shit.
Maybe they didn't have it.
They've very well just been like, great, have a good day.
Well, that's when you were talking about your ACL or like all your knee stuff. I was like it could have all been, you know, traced back to some of that stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
But
there were a lot of years that passed.
Yeah, but I mean, I know a girl right now. She developed like, and who knows? I mean, this could be her body predisposed, but she has like 4 bulging discs.
Ugh.
So she'll have major back pain like
forever,
way down the road. But like, if you were to talk about back surgery, no one wants to have back surgery right now when they're like 20 something.
I think no one wants to have back surgery.
Right.
But sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, especially at that age when you're trying to be... That's not going to be
covered after this next year.
And especially when you're trying to be that competitive within an NCAA system and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Because, I mean, at some point, like, especially if you're on a scholarship, and as much as we've talked about the allocation of funds, so for those who don't know, the way scholarships work, like within track and field and most of the NCAA, if you get rid of football, is there's X number of scholarships that teams have, and men's and women typically have to split that so that the same number of men's scholarships happen for women's scholarships on campus. So whenever I was at LSU, our men's track team had 12 and a half full scholarships worth of stuff they could offer.
Yeah.
Now, however they split that up, I mean, you could split it up into 50 kids got books.
Yeah.
Right. So we got offered a lot of different variations of scholarship because I was on a thing academically that paid my tuition.
Yeah.
They started paying books and then paying for some of my living.
Yeah.
And so those two things together are basically a full ride.
Right. Yeah.
And so, they're like, look, your tuition's already paid for. We're not offering you tuition.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's just different breakdowns of it all.
I think the women's team had like 17 or 18 scholarships because they have to make up for football, which I don't know if that's fair because there's just not a female sport that's equivalent that has 100 athletes that are on full scholarships.
That's what rowing is around for now. I mean, that's not what it's around
no,
for
no,
now,
sure.
But I know something like, Tennessee, there isn't even SEC rowing. They compete in the Big 10 or Big 12 or something like that.
Okay.
But I think, Tennessee has such the minimum sports that they have rowing at least as some type of equalizer.
Yeah, like
because you're able to have.
We had a women's soccer team, but no men's soccer team.
Yeah, we have like no men's volleyball,
right.
Only women's, no men's soccer, none of the water polos and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think we had water polo at LSU. We had swimming and diving.
Yeah.
Man, there's some sports like growing up just because like where we are geographically that I never was exposed to. I think I'd have really enjoyed hockey.
Yeah?
Yeah, just like type of athlete I am of just a little bit bigger of a guy but also explosive and could move well. Mm-hmm. Like, typical thrower shit.
Yeah.
Hockey would have been a good one.
Been a pretty profitable one too.
Yeah, maybe have if I'm that fucking good at it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not pretending by saying I think I would have enjoyed hockey by saying probably the NFL would have happened if I would have even been given the chance.
No, I think all throwers think that to a certain degree because there is a different like athletic ability.
Yep.
And it's like, well, what else could I have put this towards?
Well, that's what I'm doing now. Now that like I'm kind of out of the woods, and like, I'm still healing and doing stuff. It's like now a lot of it is very much, what else can this thing do well?
Yeah.
What about you? When your time's done, do you have your eyes set on like any things that you're like, whenever I have time to train for a thing and it doesn't get in the way of this pursuit, I'd like to explore what?
I really want to do an Olympic lifting competition.
All right. Yeah, weightlifting. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not powerlifting. No.
I agree.
I can show you a video of my bench.
Is it bad?
It looks like a clean. No, I mean.
Oh no.
No, I mean.
Just big hip thrust and everything.
Big hip thrust, big bounce.
You bench like a thrower.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
Yeah, but I mean, I try to make it as like dynamic as possible.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
You should. That's.
And it like moved a good amount of weight.
Right, but you doing eccentric work or what singular muscle movement as a thrower is a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's some hypertrophy work that should be done for like rehab, prehab, just warm up.
Yeah.
But main movements should all be big joint, full body, move as much weight as fast as possible. For me, bench I never felt translated really well for throwing for me. Mm-hmm. Me was push press.
Yeah.
If I could move big weight overhead, like I knew I could throw far. Yeah,
I think I ended up having a pretty big jerk by the end of like my time. I mean, I don't do that now, throwing hammer, but I mean, moving big weight, doing that.
Well, like for the jerk, in the way that translates to sport for me, in the same way I felt about the Olympic lifts as a thrower was, I need to be able to have the whole system work together and move weight and transfer power from the ground. And that's one of those that's another weird translation to people because like especially hammer or any of this, you can't generate force with one foot in the air. You need the other one down so that you can push. And it's pushing into the ground is the feeling to accelerate stuff. And so no different with the push press of like, I want to feel that push into the ground and then the accelerate up all the way into my hands. Like I want to know I'm transferring through the system. Yeah. I was just thinking about like the back jerk. I can't even describe how I was able to think about it, but it's literally like driving as hard down and then like being able to just extend and just kind of fucking like stick it and try and hold. Like you're doing the same movement, but the mindset, I guess, of how you're thinking about firing and applying force is totally different than just trying to put the most weight overhead. Yeah. And that's why I think I would really want to do an Olympic lifting competition just because I haven't had any experience like with a full like actual proper technique as far as catching like in a full
squat or a full catch, and being able to like learn how to do it correctly and not just like land and try and like get up as quick as possible. Like, I think I would be able to put more weight on my maxes or whatever that is.
Of course you would.
Well, no, but you like,
yeah, of course, right? Like being able to train for it and focus on it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed weightlifting. I think had I not got injured, I would have continued to compete occasionally in a weightlifting meet and a powerlifting meet just here and there.
Yeah.
And like for me, it was just mostly like, oh, how well is training going?
Yeah.
So I need a carrot to chase, because what I still struggle with, training for the sake of just training.
Yeah.
See,
that's why I don't know what I would do after.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, dude, I spent so long, and I'm like, fuck do I even do in here?
Yeah.
Go do bicep curls? Like, this seems like such a fucking waste. Why am I bothering?
Yeah.
So, I need something, whether it's now cycling or anything like that. And so for me, still, all the time that I spend in the weight room is to get me better at an activity.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how people would be able to just like, I'm just going to, like, I'd see people in the gym now that I've gone to like more different gyms, and people are just training, and I'm just like, for what though?
For what? Right. Like, and I get training for powerlifting. I get training for a thing because you have a date and a competition and a deadline to do well at.
Yeah. And of course, I'm not saying like, don't work out if you have nothing to do it for.
No, I just don't get it.
I don't either. I wouldn't be doing it.
Well, since we were fucking 12.
Yeah.
All the training we've ever done has been GPP work.
Yeah.
And so, like, you really don't, especially with track, you go from, like, everything's GPP to help you throw further, and then the sport-specific stuff toward the end of your career gets so dialed in because it has to be to get that last 2 and 3%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a different mindset. So, like, I've almost had to switch my lifting, and it's, because I don't care what I'm doing in the gym.
Yeah.
It's effort is the only thing I'm interested in.
Yeah.
As long as today's effort felt like a 7 out of 10, sweet. We're moving
forward. So, like,
forward.
was yesterday you were lifting, was that just like
just what I
any
felt like
plan?
doing?
Yeah.
No,
You're just walking around and be like, all right, I'm going to pick up the kettlebell and
yeah,
do
basically.
some
Like, a lot of it is I knew I wanted to overhead press something. So log took care of that main lift for the day. And then the rest of it was everything else is going to be light, and I want it to be explosive. So I did another overhead lift, which would have been the jammer arms on the rack. And then I did stuff that's hip rehab. Yeah. With single leg kettlebell stuff and eccentric work and those type of things. It's all what makes the system feel better. There's one thing that's maybe focused on strength resistance. Because I just can't anymore. I can't fucking burn it.
I mean, it's understandable, too.
Well, there's like whatever that line is that we're all trying to be very on all the time, and that line gets finer and finer and more razor thin of I'm not training hard enough and I'm fucking dying. And I can tap that line as many times as I want. But if I cross it, it costs me a week. True. But I don't always know where the line is. Like right now, like bicep tendon on both arms are way more sore from doing log than I expected they would be today. Yeah. And so, we're going to have to be cool for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, I realized I calculated actually what I cleaned just in the video for the like yesterday evening. That was like 95 fucking kilos. Right. That I was just like, sure. And I was like, now my back fucking of course. feels it. But I'm still so much in the mindset of that transition. I mean, I'm not old, but like I'm feeling things a lot more now.
Well, but your athletic years of focus, your training age is considerable.
Yeah. I mean, I started like Olympic lifting probably at like 15.
Right. And so you have a decade of sport focus already. Yeah. Most people don't ever have a decade of sport focus.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I probably had better collegiate training in high school than most, even kids in college sometimes. Sure. If they're at D2s or small D1s.
And you forget how questionable that gets. There's just places that don't have a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, not only that, like, I don't think any of the strength training programs that I did during my collegiate years were worth a shit.
Really?
No, not really.
Who was doing your writing?
Allegedly, Kent was doing it during my first 3 years. And then it was very throwers-based programming. And one of the ways I feel about that is I think the strength and conditioning, because it was coming from our throwers coach, it gets really incestuous to where, they did what worked for them, or their main athlete who got them at least some go about, which would have been Ramona, or some clout, if you will. And then they add the one or two things that were very unique for them, and then they have an athlete that succeeds and goes post-collegiate and then becomes
and
a
then
coach.
that's the training base.
And then that coach does it for their athletes, and eventually someone's successful and takes that thing but adds their two tweaks, and the next thing you know, like, we're not deadlifting. Like, why the fuck wouldn't we deadlift? Of the big movements that are big muscle movers and multi-joint things that build strength efficiently, why are we doing snatches on a box and we're not deadlifting? Like, that
was my biggest, like, transition I noticed as far as where, like, my athletic shift was from was UCLA. It seemed very kind of like what you were just describing, like, very standard, what had been done before. And kind of like a lot of, I think, European training, like very simplistic. You have your cleans, your squats, and then you go to your bench, your accessories. And something that when I transferred, Noel, the coach there, what he was talking about was he learned at Georgia. He had like a really great experience with their strength coach. And when he was getting into coaching, he was told to, make sure you have a really good like weightlifting basis and understanding, because like that's where everything kind of derives from. And going to that training, I shed so much like baby fat and then got fuck ton stronger. Like my lifting went like through the roof. I went from like missing 80 kilos in the snatch to, I did last year or something. I did like in pounds, like 215 from a box.
Right. Still.
But yeah, from the ground, like 200.
Yeah. And again, you're not a weightlifter. Right. This is a thing you're doing to get better at another thing. The focus isn't being the best weightlifter that you can be.
And it went from like 235 in the clean to 275, and my bench went, it just, numbers went up, and you can see a direct translation, and there was purpose in the training specifically for throwing. And I think that was the biggest thing that I appreciated, was he took the time to schedule like weightlifting around, like making sure that was a huge part, and not just have these very simplistic old school kind of workouts. Right. Yeah. And of course, weightlifting, I found the two sports very similar. Because both throwing and weightlifting are submaximal. In my opinion, because look, it's not the most I can overhead press, it's not the most I can squat, and it's not the most I can pick up off the ground. So it's a weight that I can move through all three of these planes successfully by creating leverage and manipulating my body and space around that weight. That's the same thing as throwing for me. It's about application of force and being able to get behind things. Because none of the implements are heavy. No.
But it's a trick to figure out how to get it to a place to create enough leverage to apply 500 pounds of bench press to a 16-pound ball.
Perfect balance between between
speed, technique, and strength, man.
Speed and like relaxation and power, and knowing when to hit, when to hit your arm, when to really grind and actually go for it. The relaxation that you need to have. That's what we were talking about with like music too. You need to be able to just have like fluid and not be tense the whole time, because
metal's no good for throwing.
I know, keep it classic rock.
Yeah, it's got to have some vibe to it. Like I bet I could throw pretty well. I listened to a lot of like Outkast whenever I was competing. I probably could listen to Mac Miller. Mac Miller would be good vibes.
I totally changed up how I was even listening to music before a competition, because you think of your like pump up songs and whatever, and then you just realize like, oh, I'm way too amped, way too early. And I can't, I'm already coming down now. So I kind of, got to play around with that, and just, I think it's such a random song, but what I found like over the summer, the last song I would listen to was like Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters. Just something just chill and like feel good. And I walk out, I feel like confident and chill, and then can just kind of build from there. And, it's such a random song to have, but it was just like, you have to find those those things that aren't gonna burn you out too far, because that's another thing that you're competing for such a little time,
And
you have to
it's
get
a little time,
maximum-
and especially in college if you're doing more than one event.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
got to turn it back on in 3 hours.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, is like managing emotions, which is what I was, I have a bad habit of like when when I get pissed off, I can just, hit something through the roof. That's kind of where all of my PRs have been, is just like crazy emotion, and that was kind of, you have to balance the come down from that too. But like, yeah, all my PRs in college were from like a lot of anger states.
It's a tough one because it's not always a thing you can call on.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
It's tough trying to find an emotion that you know that you can consistently pull up and have access to use for that tool.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I think, like, those are where the big spurts come from, and then you have to work to kind of just build up then your bottom end after that.
Right.
But yeah, like, before, like in the weight throw, I threw like 24 meters. But like before that, I've been throwing like 22 consistently. And then I just like got super pissed off.
Ripped one,
and it was 2 meters further.
Fucking 2 meters.
Like, same in like my shot put PR, And that's something I used to be like pretty self-conscious. I was like, oh, I'm not like consistent though. But I mean, at the end of the day,
man, the faster you're moving, the quicker that trigger is, and like the hitting it right versus missing it by 2% is a big difference in that throw.
Yeah.
Like, and we've talked about it, but man, as soon as it leaves your hand.
Yeah.
It's very rare do you blast one and you're like that's
I
it.
have no
and then
idea.
they measure it short. You're like, what the fuck? That felt great.
Yeah.
Like, that's the worst day when you smash one and it lands and you're like, oh, that was all of it. And
no, there's an instance,
Yeah.
And it's funny, but like I can't replay the feeling like I can't, nothing besides knowing that it went far.
Well, and it's that feeling. For me, it was as the implement leaves.
Yeah.
And it was that feeling of like, now everything is calm again in the ring.
Yeah, it looks like you
because
regained consciousness.
Because all the power left.
Yeah.
Like, especially with watching Hammer, like when you guys stomp a big release and just stop after spinning that much, like, the energy all transferred into that fucking thing and it left.
Yeah.
And like, man, or like, was it Lars Riedel, big German discus thrower? I love to watch. Big 6'7", long-armed fuck. And he's just big non-reverse throws.
That's really satisfying
And they
to
just
watch.
stomp them. And it's like, just everything went into it.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling in the world. As soon as you know that it leaves your fingers, just...
That's like an uncomparable feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best in sport. It's fucking the coolest thing ever. Fuck hitting home runs or any of that. Throwing far is the fucking
Throwing
coolest.
far. But yeah, that, like, it was Hammer too. There's so much time to mess up. I feel like I'm learning so much still too. But like,
Sure.
There's so much margin of error through the throw. Like when I was learning, I was like, there's too much time for me just to mess up. You're doing 4 turns. You're doing all this just in the shot, but it's just like, one turn.
Yeah,
bam.
sure.
There's
no time to fuck this thing up.
There's too much time for me to mess up and then rethink and like actually think during the throw. But yeah.
I'm pretty excited that we found a ring here for you guys. I'm pretty excited to watch you guys
2 blocks
throw a little
away.
bit. Yeah, it's great.
I don't know how I'm going to, I mean,
Little
I'll warm
stiff.
up good.
We'll warm up slow.
I'm a little bit stiff this morning.
And look, this is for video content. You don't need to throw far today. No one here knows how far
That's
far
true.
is. So just make up number. Be like, that looked far. We also don't have a way to measure it, so who gives a shit? Just take some throws, make them pretty.
Pace it off. I will. I'll try.
Show people what a professional throws look like. That's
I
the.
might get you out there throwing a 4K.
I don't have shoes that fit. Otherwise, I probably would.
And you have Vans.
That's a terrible shoe for throwing. They're grippy as
Is it a
shit.
1 turn?
Oh man, no. That's a bad idea, Stam. It's a bad idea.
It's a
Why?
4K.
Why? See, this is the problem. Why is it you want me injured? Have I been bad to you?
You already just said you're already halfway there. I mean, what really more could this do?
This is true. Oh man. Oh, the idea of it going back bad though.
I mean, you're not gonna have you throw shot put. That would just be.
That would be crazy. Yeah, because the
I
one
think you
I'm
would
more
try to-
normal at is fucking hammers. The one
Yeah,
that
but
I'm
I
more
think-
confident in.
But I think you would try way harder in shot, and you might really fuck something up.
Well,
there.
so the key, I probably wouldn't. So the ego side for me has left. The problem is I'm an asshole that enjoys playing. It's not like I want to prove anything by it because neither of these two guys who are upstairs I can throw with
Yeah.
in any realm. So my distance doesn't matter. I'm aware going in. If we were all throwing close to the same thing,
Yeah.
maybe I'd have a bit more piss and vinegar in me. But
Yeah.
because I realize I'm coming in to finish last, and if this goes perfectly,
It's just strictly technique.
I'll be
then.
last. Right?
You're going for the technical side.
Yeah, I'm injured and 50 pounds lighter than either of the other two guys who are both
Yeah.
healthy and throwing right now.
True.
I haven't thrown a shot put since 2016. I haven't touched one, right? And
Yeah.
so I threw a stone. At Loon when we were there, whenever I was announcing.
Mm-hmm.
And that
How'd
would
that
have been
go?
like September. It's like 46, 47 feet.
I have
With
no
a stand?
way to understand the conversion to anything.
So,
I asked that
so with the
without-
Highland Games,
Yeah.
like a big throw in the open stone, so 16-pound stone, same type of deal, full approach. If you can throw 55, like you're in the money.
Okay.
You're
Full approach isn't are people
oh
aren't
yeah,
spinning.
yeah, I
They
full
are.
spin.
Oh, okay.
Most guys do a South African,
Okay.
just because of the shape of the trig,
Yeah.
because the trig's rectangle,
Yeah.
and the rules are you can finish with a foot out,
Okay.
so you can reverse and bring that foot down.
Yeah.
It's a bit different than shot put because you have so much more room. Mm-hmm. But a good throw still should fit within the same parameters of
Yeah.
the circle.
Yeah.
In Scotland, they fucking change the rules every week, so it's just a different sport. But yeah, it's throwing 50 is you're solid, like as a professional. But 55's big, and then I mean occasionally there's a few of us throwing 57s to 60 and hitting 60. You're out by yourself.
Did you have a better stone toss than you did shot put?
By a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess that actually makes sense too if you're able to step out or whatnot. But you're
It's
also
a little
not
bit
on
different
concrete.
technology. But
Yeah.
so I also was a glider all the way through college.
Oh, and you started spinning when?
Started spinning with
Does anyone-
Highland Games. I taught it myself.
Does anyone glide in Highland Games?
Yeah, a lot of guys.
I was gonna say, I probably do. People do like the shuffle.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have amateurs that do the shuffle, and typically the next move is guys will do a South African.
Okay.
More guys should glide
Yeah.
than the ones who are doing the
Trying
South
to do
African.
South
Yeah.
African. Yeah.
But the glide's simpler
Yeah.
and it's consistent, but it has some big technical points that if you're not fucking hitting, it's worthless.
I guess. Yeah.
So a big one, especially with these guys who aren't throwers, don't understand that I could sit back and essentially coach a throws practice with newbies by just saying turn the right foot.
Yeah.
Every single fucking one of you, turn the right foot more.
That's all it is.
That's it. And it's you see guys come out of the back in the glide and get into that power position, and their right foot
And then they
is
just
still
transition.
facing the back of the trig.
And they just lift
Yeah,
up
and then it's
onto
that
it.
lean, and that foot never turns to get under to actually get the hip.
Yeah.
And so it makes a bit more sense to them instead of that
Mm-hmm.
drive and pick and turn that foot up with the glide and then keep it moving.
But if they're able to like
You're
comprehend
already
it a little
spinning.
bit better, yeah.
And then we have the two weight events, which are spin too. And so you're already
could
spinning
just-
through 3 events. And so the weight's a 2-spin.
Okay.
It's a little bit different of a technique. So the weight throw for distance, the implement looks more like the indoor weight.
Okay.
So steel block, couple links of chain,
Yeah.
and then a ring handle. But you throw it one-handed.
Yeah.
So one-handed hook grip, and then it looks like the discus.
How much weight is it?
So there's a 56-pound
Oh.
and a 28.
Okay.
And so you would throw, for the women, it's a 14 and 28.
Okay.
So you throw it, look a bit like the discus,
Yeah.
except it's a
I think I
two-turn,
know. Yeah,
right?
I know this one.
But unlike the discus, so it's
How
somewhere.
far can you throw that?
So my PRs are, I threw the 56 48-2, and then I threw the 28-pound 94 2.5.
That hurts. my arm
Spencer's
already.
got world record in both of them.
Uh-huh.
I think at like 96, 97 in the light. Mine was an American record when I threw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Spencer's fucking crushed it. And then he's like 52 feet in the heavyweight for distance, which is bonkers, the fact that
Why
he's
the-
beat me by 4 feet.
Why the different weight classes or the do
Different
they do-
implements? So it's a
Yeah.
heavy and a light.
Right. Do they do both per
Mm-hmm.
competition?
Every time. So you do a heavy stone and a light stone. You do a heavyweight, a lightweight, and you do a heavy hammer and a light hammer.
Why?
It's just how it works.
Okay. Just
That's-
wondering.
Yeah, that's the
I don't know. This
events.
is my track mind just being like.
Yep, that's the because you do all 9. So you do those 6.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 height events,
Mm-hmm.
which is weight over bar, so 56-pound weight up over a bar. And then there's the sheaf,
Mm-hmm.
which is a height event, which is you throw the burlap bag or a bale of hay
Yeah.
with a pitchfork.
Mm-hmm.
And then the caper. is the last event, which is a weird one because it's judged on accuracy and not distance of anything.
Okay.
So you want to run with it, and where you run with it and where you stop to pull it and throw it,
Yeah.
there's no wrong. Like, there's no way to foul that
Yeah.
approach. You can stop and do it wherever you want. You can go way over here. Doesn't matter. But wherever you have established a direction in your last 3 steps is what counts.
Oh.
And so from there, you have a judge behind you, and as they're following you, you stop and flip it, and a perfect throw go end over end, and then it lands at 12 o'clock
Okay.
directly away from you on like a clock face.
And how did
Anything off of that would be like you would throw 11:50 or a minute
so it's
off.
literally determined.
Yeah,
like,
so they
that's
judge it
the
that
number.
way. Yeah, you would get 11:55
Oh.
if it's just off of 12. And if it doesn't go over, you get a degree. So you have a side judge that would be like, 75 degrees.
I was gonna say, have you ever run into some sketchy judges?
Not sketchy judges.
Not
I
sketchy,
think,
but like some judges that were favoriting people.
no, I don't think anyone was favoring anybody. You would just get inconsistency. And the inconsistency would more come on if you got a percentage mark, right? Because this guy's on the side of you, and he's trying to guess what angle this thing made it up to before it fell back down. It's a bit objective. Like, there's no way to accurately do it based on a machine that gives you an answer. And so, like, you know, it's one of those that, like, if you didn't flip the caber, like, you left it a bit to the judge to make a decision, so you kind of get what you deserve.
Okay. Are there different judges per person, or is it the same guy?
Same 2 guys do
Same
that
2
whole
guys.
day. And so another difference with the Highland Games versus track and field was the implements are different every week.
Yeah. I want to know.
So you don't travel with yours.
Yeah, that's what because the stone could be just any type of shape.
You show up, and these are the stones that we throw.
Yeah.
And so you know throughout the season that there's good stones at different places.
Oh.
You're like, fuck yeah, that one's a good one.
I'm
like,
have a good day.
Yeah, and so, like, the way making nationals or any of that would go, it's a ranking system, and it's done like decathlon scoring to give you a point total. And,
yeah, because it can't just be based on.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's decathlon's based off world records, blah, 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 blah. And so you would try to, put together your best 9 events through the season. And so you set your rankings best off individual performances. So, like, if I threw a great stone here and then threw a great hammer here, that's boosting my overall marks.
Okay. So you
get
could
your
pull.
ranking up.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the total
Doesn't have
from
to be
each.
no, it doesn't have to be
one
one whole day. And so you would occasionally through the year, like, if you needed to qualify, what games have good hammers.
Like,
You're
okay, I'm gonna mess this one up
you're
here.
like, I got to go to Salt Lake City because Salt Lake City, like, with the elevation difference, and then they had really good implements, and they throw like on this soccer field, so the ground's perfect.
Oh yeah, so you don't have to deal with any type of uneven. Yeah.
People throw PRs in Salt Lake City. It's just how it goes. So if you need one in that event, you need to go ahead and make your ass out to that game to get that fucking mark to get in.
That's funny.
And then, like, we know that there's some fields that, like, there's a good downhill.
Do you have to do all the events every time? Or could you just show up and be like,
nah.
I only want to do this one to
In
get
Scotland,
the score?
in Scotland, it works that way.
Okay.
In Scotland, like, if you're like, there's no reason for me to do the weight because I'm going to finish 9th, then don't do the weight.
Okay.
But typically, especially at the level we were at, we either got paid by event for the day or you get paid for the overall at the end.
Yeah.
And so just going to do one event wouldn't make much sense. And I think
I guess that's part of it, too. I mean, you're also there to make
money. Yeah, especially at the pro level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to cherry pick. Now, you may know going in that here's a good place I need to get a stone throw, but I still need to hit the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, but that'll be like my main focus.
Yeah. That, like, we came today to
That
hit a
makes
big
sense.
stone to make sure I get into nationals.
Yeah.
So, man, it's a fun sport, dude. I think you should give her a go for just a little bit.
Yeah, my oldest brother, he's done a competition.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a decathlete at University of Arizona, and he did a little bit post-collegiately, but he got really into like powerlifting. He's done like a competition or two, and then he did a Highland Games, and he loved it.
It's so good.
He won the shot. I mean, he had to be a good thrower. I think he won the stone throw in this event. But yeah, he absolutely loved it. But I don't know. He's the one who told me I should probably give it a go.
It's fun, man. It's a really fun time. And the women's crowd has gotten better and better, and the talent has just continued to go up. So it's a really cool thing. I mean, we've had some studs like Adrian Wilson is 4 or 5-time world champion. She's been a stud, and she threw for Judd Logan at Ashland.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I mean, she chased in Olympics for a bit. Was a pretty solid shot putter, and
Yeah.
has really done well in the games.
Be interested. I mean, yeah, I've been told.
It's fun, man. It's cool.
Weightlifting, Highland Games.
It's cool once kind of the sport life, which is what you're in right now.
The competitive edge.
Yeah, and it's different that, like, you're chasing a thing that if you don't get to have a second physical hobby.
Yeah.
Like, everything has to go to this if you want
Yeah.
it to work.
Yeah.
You know, you can't also be passionate about cycling right now. Like, it's just too calorically expensive to be good for the other thing you're doing.
Right.
But once you get out of it and you kind of get that freedom back to start exploring physical things again, after what I needed was a break.
Yeah.
Of, like, I'm going to only do what I feel like doing for a little while.
Yeah. Well, that's why when you asked that question, I'm just like, I haven't thought about that in years. The one thing I really miss is, like, skiing.
Yeah.
That's just because I did it so much growing up. But I haven't been able to do that in however many years because it's right before track season.
And it's too big of an injury
Too
risk.
risky, yeah. I mean, we were doing stupid shit too when we were kids. I mean, there's literally home videos. We had this is before GoPros. We had an actual camcorder, and my brother would be like following us around. We'd find little rock jumps to go off of and stuff
Where
like that.
were you skiing? Where is this?
Tahoe.
Tahoe. Okay. Man,
Yeah,
that
we would
place is
drive up.
rad.
Yeah, every winter we'd try and get up there and go. And
I've got a friend who's got a place in Tahoe that we've stayed at a little bit in Truckee.
Yeah.
Right outside.
Yeah.
It's a super cool little spot. And
dude, Lake Tahoe is the place I'd want.
Squalamine is one of the Squaw is one of the ski resorts. Yeah, Squaw Valley is one. I thought there was another one like Squalamine, like SQUAL.
There might be. I went to like Alpine a lot. When we went to a lot smaller ones just by our cabin. It was called Diamond Peak. It was just this little one. There's North Face, if I'm thinking correctly. Maybe went there. But dude, Tahoe's a place that's my dream spot if I could ever have like a second home or something.
A second home?
It wouldn't
be your main home?
No, because I mean I wouldn't want to live there year round, but if I could.
Doing great, Brant. Yeah, you know, man, I don't know. I think
boating.
I'm pretty sure
lake
that
life?
when Bonnie and I ever leave St. Louis,
Yeah.
we're going to the woods.
Yeah.
Far more. Now, whether that's going to be like northern Idaho, like around Coeur d'Alene, or Montana, or Missoula, or any of these other places, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I know I want to live somewhere that I can look at mountains when I wake up.
Yeah.
I like that way more than the fucking beach.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I love the beach. Like, I love where I grew up. It was amazing. But there's something so nice about waking up and being on a lake.
I find there's just more activities.
Yeah.
Whereas the beach, like, all I can do is hang out here and get shit-faced.
That's not all the beach is for.
I think that's the only thing
that's
you're
what
allowed
you've
to do.
associated
Yes.
with.
That's what
that's
the
what
Gulf
you've made
Coast
it.
is for. There's not surfing. There's
not beach volleyball. There's only getting
only
wasted.
drinking.
Yeah.
It's the only option in case
Yeah.
and having sand in all your things.
That's true. I mean, I love the beach. Like I grew up like very much Southern California, all that. But I'm trying to get people to be open to the idea of moving
Mountains are cool, man.
out of California.
The family's all still there?
Yeah, my one brother, Nick, who's still throwing, is actually training with Nick.
Oh, shit. Okay.
In Arizona with Ryan
So
Whiting.
Ryan Whiting's just collecting nicks from around.
All the Nicks. Yeah.
And will he throw for Greece?
Yeah.
Right on.
So he was there in 2016 at the Rio Olympics for Greece and then has been competing. I mean, we both have for the past, 6 years or so.
I always think about that, right? Like, how fucking weird and again, genetics being proved that this is how things work.
Yeah.
Like, my brother and I mean, like, very few people end up with a Division I scholarship anyway.
Yeah.
Much less
all three
both
of us.
Or all three of you.
Yeah.
Right, and then two of you go to the fucking Olympics?
Knock on wood.
We're going for it.
It's wood right there. Thank you.
No, we're not jinxing anyone.
But yeah, no, I mean, we have no idea where it came from either.
Yeah.
My parents didn't.
Weren't athletic.
So they were, but that was never a priority. Like, my parents did a lot of Greek dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little fancy feet.
Well,
right.
Very light on their feet that can translate. No, but I mean, my dad did like high school stuff, and no, they actually did a lot of like Greek dancing. Started, Greek folk dancing through churches. It's like a big thing now. And they were kind of starters in that. But anyways, we joke that it like skipped a generation because we don't know how all three of us, and in the same sport too. It's pretty weird. But that's what you were talking about yesterday. It's like how many get that opportunity to travel with their family, with their sibling, and experience just like all of that
what a
time
cool
together.
Shared thing,
Yeah.
right? That's so unique that just you guys get.
Yeah. And it's been really cool because I think when we were, my oldest brother, both of us were competing in Berlin for European championships. And even Amsterdam the time before, and our other brother like made it out for both of those, and so it was just like, afterwards it's just this cool thing, like we get to go experience things together, and we're really close in that regard because we just have been able to travel together. And
then you have so much or not unique, but you share so many things with this competitive side, and then track and field, and then throwing. Mm-hmm. Even if he was a sprinter, like there's still a connection because it's track. Yeah. But because he's a thrower, it's totally
And so we were at UCLA together for the first 2 years.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, that played a part into a lot of like transferring out because he had graduated, and then I was realizing things that I really didn't like about the program, and I was like, my family, I'm getting older, and like I don't have to stay here. Mm-hmm. But for those 2 years, it was really cool. I was on a team with my, one of my brothers, and got to experience all of that, and just different little avenues. Like track it sounds so cheesy, but it's just brought us so much. Yeah. Traveling the world, being able to spend such quality time that you wouldn't if you weren't, doing the same exact thing.
It's just such a different exposure getting to compete on foreign soil, man.
Yeah.
It's such a different thing. I'm really, really glad that even with like the Highland Games, it was part of what we talk about with the loophole of that sport being that like, I was never the caliber of athlete that's going to get to train and compete post-collegiate and travel around the world in a sport. Yeah. And then somehow I found a sport.
But you did, though.
But I did, right? Yeah. But I couldn't have done it in track and field.
Yeah.
Like that's just wasn't going to be in the cards. But I found a way through this weird loophole of athletics because, like I said before, that if you were a thrower, and I'm really in the sweet spot of being a very average thrower in a few events that translates well to the Highland Games. Yeah. Because you have 9 events. And so I could learn 9 and be pretty good at 9. And so like I had moments and I had a year or two where I was killing an event. Yeah. But for the most part, like my move was I'll finish second all day. Yeah. And you can't beat me.
Can't add that up.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly how like the multis work.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's how I played the game. And it was, if I'd have been a better thrower, I would have pursued that. And then never got the experience that the Highland Games gave me.
Yeah. But you still got to experience the same type of worldly travel and 100%. Competitive like eliteness.
It's like I feel like I snuck into it though. Like because like you have to do this other thing for the Olympics, and that's the only place this like professional track and field exists. Yeah. But then there's this whole other sport that no one talks
but you're probably
about.
Making also like more from Highland Games than most throwers.
Man, maybe.
But I mean, it's I don't get to travel and just like do nothing. But there's also something really cool about going to different environments and meeting people that are in your exact like niche. That like I need to go train while I'm there, so I'm gonna also meet these throwers in Hungary and
Dude,
wherever and all of that, and work out and like experience people that have the same interest from across the world.
Well, that's why I've got the friends I have. That's why I'm friends with the Icelandic guys and all them, because I've been going over and I want to train and compete and do this. Like, so when Bonnie and I landed last year when we got over there. I mean, this was like October, and so I'd had knee replacement in April. And we get there, and Hasey like picks us up or meets us, and he's like, Haptor's holding a contest next weekend. We signed you both up. I'm like, oh, what is it we're doing?
All the heaviest stuff.
And it was a max log and a max deadlift.
Yeah, which you've done.
Which I've done both.
But since
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No way. It's a little touch and go. I didn't know how it would go, so I was like, well, we've got 2 weeks. Let me get a log in the gym and see if this works. Yeah. And it did. And so, I mean, for me, I'm able to check my bullshit because, look, the best log I've ever pressed is over 400 pounds. And like my goal for this competition is to hit 3.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's a
still
bit
very impressive.
Yes, but like
But yeah,
but
different
I've done.
expectations.
Yeah. But for me it just became like I want the feeling of getting on the platform and performing.
Yeah.
Whatever the top performance I can squeak out of this thing today is good enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the best I've ever done. It's just I need to know that fire's still in there and I can turn that switch on when I want to.
Yeah. Well, that also I think goes to a degree with people that are even still competing, like learning, all right, I don't need to throw the furthest every day. What's it going to take just to check this off the list, not overexert myself and win the day and then, carry on and travel.
I've heard people have a mindset with it like if we can agree that there will be a day that you take your furthest throw. That's how things work.
Yeah.
Right? And if we agree on that, don't waste that one in training.
Yeah.
like I took most of my training mentality, like throws I took in training.
Yeah.
I never go over about a 95% effort. I want them to be smooth. I want them to be fast.
Yeah.
And I want them to be good positions and smash. And I felt that if I could do that consistently and throw like 95% in training and hit good marks.
Yeah.
That whenever I went to a competition, if I just would do that.
Just do a training throw.
Just do that 95% throw and then add in the adrenaline and add in that I've rested. It's a PR.
Yeah.
That's all it has to be. And then if it's that lucky day that it still lines up and you can just fucking pour the coals to it and let it get on fire, like that's the best. But
it's crazy.
I ain't burning it in training.
Yeah, it's crazy how convoluted and so specific everything gets. Like, I mean, when you first started out throwing, it was just like, let me just fucking throw and I'll go show it to a meet.
Yeah.
And then over time it gets like, oh my God, I need to do this, this, and this, and this in training. And it gets so convoluted and messed up and everything.
You have so much time to think about your thing
yeah.
and the number and what this equals, and if I do this, that'll equal this, and then that gets me here.
I used to live and die by every training, every throw. And I mean, I was probably a pain in the. I mean, I know I was probably a pain in the ass to deal with. But one of the best things has been just like actually having to throw on my own.
Yep.
Because there's no one I can talk to, and I just got to be like, all right, this is where I'm at today. I just need consistent throws. And I mean, that was a huge learning process, was just like create good training throws. And if you literally can take a good training throw in a comp, you're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Man, I really missed, I didn't realize how much I loved the training. Like the setup whenever I was really competing a lot, there was a park, maybe like 400 yards from my house.
Yeah.
In my old neighborhood. And no one ever went to this park.
Yeah.
And they had like basically a field backed up to a parking lot, and so I just used the curb as a trig and threw in throwing shoes because it was just less trash on the rest of your body. And I threw there by myself 4 days a week for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it, and I didn't realize until like I can't go do that thing.
Yeah.
And I don't have it as a viable option in my training anymore, how much that I enjoyed
that
kind
time.
of the mindfulness of it, of just putting on music, and plus I'm outside.
Yeah.
Dude, being an outdoor sport was a big one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And just having that time to yourself too. When everything kind of went down with, COVID and everything, I did a lot of training on my own and throwing alone and everything. And I got so used to it. It's so kind of peaceful and nice, and just like, it's just taking me a bit to get back to used to throwing with people and with like a coach right there, and immediate feedback and stuff like that. But yeah, it's such a like peaceful time, like to take an hour, 2 hours out of your day, and it's just your mind is just training, music. Like,
what is for training like that? How many implements do you like having? Like for a training day, like because if I hadn't, like for me with hammers or any of that, if I was throwing, I like 2.
Yeah.
I like taking 2, and then I want to walk.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like not different weights?
Yeah, not different weights, but like how many implements?
Good.
Yeah, 2's solid.
2's solid.
Yeah, 3's too
many.
many.
You need time. 3 is too many.
Yeah, I don't know why, but like I need to think about the next fucking throw.
I get too tired by the third one too. Like, no, but 2's perfect. I've tried doing 3 because I'm just like, well, I have them here, and
or
I'm
4,
the only throw.
like, yeah.
But no, 2's the perfect amount. You take 2, you have a walk, because it's like, let me think. Also let me just take a breather from this. Drag them back, and then just like reset. But yeah, 2's perfect.
Yeah, man, it's Throwing's fun.
Are people gonna know
I
what
hope
throwing
so.
is?
I don't know. They'll figure it out. Well, dude, that's a little over an hour. We're speaking of throwing.
I hope people like it.
They're gonna.
All right.
That's great.
Okay.
Where can they find all your stuff?
My Instagram.
Yeah.
Stam,
Places to find
Stam
you.
Scarvelis. My name is Stam, not Stome.
Stom.
What were you saying?
Stom. That's
Stom?
The A makes a
It's
different
because
noise.
it's pronounced. My full name is pronounced Stomatia. So
Well, then I'm more right. Stom.
yeah, but that
Okay.
sounds weird.
I mean, you get to choose.
Stam.
I'm not going to correct you on your fucking
but
name.
yeah, Stam Scarvelis is my Instagram. How you say my name is Stomatia. I don't have a Twitter or anything.
Good.
You tried to get me. I'm trying to do the YouTube thing. I'll post more on that.
Well, look, there's also nothing wrong with enjoying being on the other side of the camera more.
Yeah, I like that so much more. I like creating stuff for me.
Yeah,
But it's easier if I'm not like holding a camera and talking to it. I get so uncomfortable. I mean, but like something like this is fine. Something where I'm like doing stuff where I'm just like videoing what I'm doing. Like that's fun.
It takes a long time to get used to the camera at the end of your arm talking to yourself thing.
Yeah.
It's still really fucking lame. Like I've done it a long fucking time, and
You're great at it.
I don't know that that's true. My
You guys are all
audience,
great at it.
well, my audience disagrees.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean because it's not very big.
Well, it's not very big.
My audience, and big's relative.
You have a big audience.
Yes, thank you.
See, that's why I was super intimidated to come here this weekend.
Why?
Because I met Bonnie for the first time, and
Okay.
she's like famous.
Famous is
I
she?
know. She's so cool. And here I can't like the thing is I can't walk around and do the same like acting the same way. I don't have that following. I have my friends that are like, she's trying.
But dude, that's how it starts. I didn't.
Yeah.
No, none of us started with a following. Yo, I've got my YouTube channel has 1,200 or 1,300 videos on it.
Yeah.
Like I've been making videos since 2008,
Yeah.
and my audience is 36,000. It's not like this channel blew up and I have a couple 100,000 people following.
know.
Like it's never caught. I've never had a single video
Yeah.
go anywhere close to a viral thing.
Yeah.
It's
Just
been
consistent as
consistent, dude. It's consistent fucking work. It's just grinding it out, man, and never stopping. That's it.
I think, is this the biggest thing you said? Just like literally detaching no ego to it.
That's it.
You're not self-conscious about it. I could.
Not anymore.
No.
And anytime I feel that way.
And there's also no reason to be too. Kind of on what you're saying. I mean, we're already doing something no one really cares about.
Yeah, and
when it comes to throwing and everything.
I deal with the ego on it by, like, anytime I'm self-conscious of like, fuck, I look like a dick. Standing here with this camera, I look like an asshole.
Yeah.
And then I remind myself of how rad the lifestyle I get to
what you're
have
doing,
and
yeah.
the business that I get to run and being creative and doing it. And like, man, if that moment of I feel like an asshole
Yeah.
is the cost that gets me everything else,
Yeah.
I can deal with it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But it's easy to say that now.
Yeah.
But there was plenty of time where it's just a hassle.
Yeah. Well, there's also the fine line. I never want to get to the point because I'm still a performance athlete and not strictly on social media to where I would ever want that to get in.
Correct.
You know, to find the right balance. But as long as I think, I'm trying to get into that creative flow of making stuff for myself again when it comes to like that vlog type of
Sure.
stuff you were discussing. But yeah, it's really fun to explore the different avenues of like watching Brant and what he's doing and watching
It's
Harrison
cool,
and-
man.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
cool. And look, dude, it's an open door. Like, you're not that far from me in Knoxville. Like, it
Yeah.
can't be that far of a drive. So this is an open door.
And now we
dude.
have a ring
Yeah.
right around the corner.
It's an open door. Like, you're welcome to come here,
Well, I
and if you want to
appreciate
like
that.
hang out and do stuff with Brant or learn more or do anything, like,
Yeah.
love to have you.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I appreciate that. Now it's on record.
100%, man. Like, I don't.
No, I had no idea what to expect really before coming up here. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
'cause-
That's part of that. That's weird, right? Because like I know that I'm out there a lot as far as social media, and there's that view of me, but that's not the same as being my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, of course, I'd always like heard stuff about, because
Yeah.
you have mutual people that, I mean, you come from the same kind of throwing world and everything, but it was definitely like I'm gonna be around all these social, not that you're a social
No,
media person, but like
it is
kind
that.
of.
It is that.
Yeah,
I'm not embarrassed by that. This is very much what I do for a fucking living. I'm aware of it.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, I didn't know anything to expect, and the way you guys have just like opened up, it was yeah, it was
It's
really cool.
Not everyone's like this.
Yeah, I mean,
In my
I
experience.
think I can, yeah,
I like that
decipher
this is
that.
the way we are. You know that one of the things for Bonnie and I like there's games and traps you can play with the social media thing that will get more eyes and get more attention.
Yeah,
The problem with those traps if doing that isn't sustainable.
yeah,
Because then you get trapped into being this thing that your audience wants all the time. Like a perfect example would be, look, if you found out that every time you posted a photo of a cat,
yeah.
that it got 5 times more attention.
And then
So
you start-
eventually you just are only posting cat photos. And then you change the Instagram to something about cats, right? And so now
Yeah.
you've got 1 million people following a thing where you're talking about cats.
yeah,
It's great,
but the moment you,
but other than that, realize they don't care about you. They
Yeah.
care about cats.
yeah,
And so what's more important to you, to have an audience that's smaller that gives a shit about what you're doing?
yeah.
Or do you want the biggest fucking number possible, even though there's no way,
There's no substance behind it.
there's no substance, there's no way to monetize it, there's no way to make a business out of it, there's no way to, that's one now that I don't understand is
Yeah,
people that deal with social media drama
yeah,
with their friends or people they know or didn't get a like or whatever it is that people get butthurt about and aren't using that for a business.
yeah.
No fucking way I would use that thing if it
Yeah.
wasn't making me
Well,
money.
that's what you had also been saying. At a certain point, it's just like it's a job. It's a part of the. It's a part of the
It's a
step,
gig, man.
You know.
And
Yeah.
I'm super fortunate to get to do this for a living.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be on my terms. And there's consequences to that. Like I won't make as much money if I was going to just hardcore play the game in the pursuit of making more money.
Yeah.
But I'd feel gross. And I don't want to feel gross about it.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, staying authentic to what you've built. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's strayed too much. It's
No.
been like bits and pieces of just been improving the quality.
there's evolution.
of what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, there should be evolution to what
Yeah.
you're doing. And a lot of that for me too, and like working with you and Nick was that, man, I love throwing. And so like I just want, if I can point some different light and direction toward these
Yeah.
people that I find to be incredible fucking athletes, like I want to.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if this turns 10 more people on to the idea, like one of the things I tell people is if you're a female in high school and you're athletic and you've got a decent frame on you to be strong,
Yeah.
start throwing.
Yeah.
You can get college.
That's
you
my
can
biggest
fucking get
advice.
college taken care
If
of.
someone is willing to go anywhere, willing to, do it whenever division, there's an opportunity.
If you're a female with any type of athletic potential and some size, like someone will recruit
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Just because the depth pool's not there in the country. Because for whatever reason, women have a about it.
Oh, we could go another half hour on that, but that was a huge thing. That's why I didn't want to touch the sport. Because I
Really?
didn't want to be perceived as that. Yeah. I started out doing, hurdles and jumps and, all that. And then I did multi-events. And I had
The
to
old
throw.
gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to throw it then. And I threw 40 feet my freshman year of high school. And I hated it. Like I didn't want to, because I didn't want to be that perception.
The big thrower.
The big thrower, the big unathletic thrower.
Right. And as a female, you're already tall.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 5'6", 5'7"?
5'7". It's relatively kind of short for where I am
It
now.
is, but it's not compared to the
starting out.
population of
Right.
females.
Right. Yeah. I was generally big, and I just didn't want to exaggerate that fact.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And so then starting lifting, and then like you're in high school, and it's like, well, I can lift like way more than all
Yeah.
guys here right now. Which now it's like cool, and it's like led me to do
Yeah,
really cool
now
stuff.
it's rad, but in high school, that's
It
real
was
weird.
super embarrassing, and it was like,
Well, because also guys at that age have no fucking clue how to deal with anything.
yeah.
They have no clue
I
how
was
to deal
told,
with anything.
yeah, taking Stam out on a date would be like going to go throw. And that would like hurt my feelings so
Oh,
bad.
man, what a bummer.
No, but like, I mean, and that was like one case, and it was, a slight joke, but like that, that's why I tried to push it off as much as I could. But I would tell anyone right now, like, get into it. And it's becoming, that's why I think it's great with girls with social media. You see girls like, you know, Valerie Allman, you know, and you talking about Maggie, you know, there's a really, you know, social media is at least showing that it doesn't need to be, you know, super, you know, burly and
And powerlifting's done the same thing with
Yeah.
women like Bonnie and Steffi, you know, Steffi
Yeah.
Cohen and all these other people.
all the whole athletic field. I mean, when it comes to CrossFit, when it comes to lifting, when it comes to throwing, it's becoming a lot like more viewer friendly and I think
also
appealing.
Any weak pussy males that are weird about strong females, like, you know, hit the bricks anyway.
not
Like, I don't
worth
give
the
a
time
I don't give
anyway.
a fuck about your opinion,
Yeah.
clown. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get a vote.
Yeah. But I think that's perfect. Get involved with it because it could be a gateway to.
It's the easiest route possible currently.
Mhm.
That, you know, if you want to get school paid for, man, throw.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's trickier as a dude, but the women's
Yeah.
side of it.
Even in guys, though, I do think to a degree, if you're out there reaching out to colleges and you don't have any ego, if you're going to be at a D1, D2,
Yep.
small D1, there's a spot.
There's a spot, and then then your foot in the door. Like, in track, as much as any other sport in college too, like, it's very much a climb the ladder.
Yeah.
Like, you can get into D2 school and then get some more time to develop
Yo, yeah.
and go to a Division I big powerhouse.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're crazy.
Barton Junior College was like that all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
we have a girl right now from Barton.
yeah, they're studs.
I mean, she's crazy good thrower. She's going to throw, you know, crazy far. She was throwing 17 meters, walking through the ring last year, her first year at Tennessee. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. And a lot of actual foreign athletes are coming through the community college systems too.
Yeah, because they need prereqs and different, you know, academic stuff that they're not eligible for NCAA. But if you get into this other system, and
Yeah.
then, dude, I remember that we would occasionally be at a track meet, and like Barton would be there,
Yeah.
and it would be like LSU, who's winning 11 national titles straight. We're in a fucking fight
Yeah.
against Barton, this junior college, because
Yeah.
they're like this all-star team of
Yeah,
kids.
and they just are trying to fucking make it.
Yeah.
And they're just going to go all out. There's no prima donnas. There's no fluff.
No.
There's no fluffy weight room. There's no nutritionist. It's just like put in work and
Earn your
let's get
spot out of
going.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fucking cool system, man.
Yeah. But it's really, that's the one thing I think I want to stress the most to kids. It's not that if you're willing to go anywhere, if you're willing to put in the work to reach out to people, and be open-minded to you know, not to going anywhere. I mean, there's a spot. Definitely.
So you're saying that as long as you don't try to make it 100% conform to your will and maybe go along with it, if like the main goal is that you would like to compete in something at the collegiate level,
Yeah.
then maybe lower the expectations down the rest of the chart.
Yeah, I know a good amount of people in D1 that even afterwards are kind of like, I think I could have gone to a smaller D1 and I would have been happier. You know, my goals really weren't at the same level of a big SEC school.
Right.
I wanted to enjoy it. I didn't want to make it my entire life.
This
know?
This was the same for me at that time. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have any question about whether or not I was going to the Olympics as a shot putter. I didn't have the focus at that point. Had I had the skill set and focus that I did once I'd gotten into the Highland Games, maybe things would have been different.
Yeah.
Or, look, I think realistically, based on what I threw a stone, I think at the best peak performance my body could have ever done, I think I could have thrown mid-60s in the shot.
Yeah.
That's a long way from 70.
Yeah.
It's a long way. And that's just a realistic thing. I know how far this body was going to throw at its best. And
but that doesn't diminish the experience of doing it.
no, it was cool. So I went to LSU because that's where I wanted to go to school.
Yeah. You went there right out of high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went only to LSU. So
Okay.
I walked on, or I was invited walk on.
Because you're from Louisiana too.
So I was invited walk on and then made the team. You know, not
Yeah.
after making the team, but they moved me onto a scholarship
Yeah.
after I put up some points at SECs like my freshman or sophomore year or something like that. I think I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
It's a long time.
Well, different lifetime, man. Different
That's
lifetime ago. So yeah, let's wrap this up and we'll go
Go
do
throw
some throwing.
stuff.
Play throwing.
Well, thank you for having me.
No, this has been awesome. It's been super rad. So thanks a ton, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.